That was a brief meditation. Meditation to calm down the mind and to develop wisdom, to develop deeper understanding about ourselves, which is so essential. If we wish to be peaceful and happy, we must have a deeper understanding about our body, deeper understanding about our mind. These things, without the understanding in the correct way, we will always get stuck with the things. We will always continue to get into difficulties and suffering. So that's why the practice of meditation is so essential to clear our mind, to give rise to wisdom. So, like every Sunday, we'll have the discourse, the words of the Buddha, which is so wonderful, so enlightening, which brightens the heart of the beings when they listen to it mindfully, which gives rise to wisdom when they listen to it mindfully. Here, in one place, Lord Buddha is saying, with the arising of the Tathagata, Tathagata is the Dharma. The Buddha used to refer to himself. The Buddha used to refer to himself as Tathagata. Tathagata, you can translate something like the embodiment of the truth, the embodiment of the ultimate truth. So the Buddha used to refer to himself as Tathagata. So he says, when the Tathagata appears in the world, there are four very special, very unprecedented, very uncommon things happen when the Buddhas arise in the world. First one, Lord Buddha says, generally people have this tendency to be delighted in the attachments of the world. This one I want, this one is good, this one I like this. Various types of attachments, whether it is with regard to the property or relationship or name or fame or whatever it is. Different types of attachments. And it is common for majority of the people to be attached to things like this. They delight in these attachments. People have a lot of delight. Oh, my car should be like this. My house should be like this. My family members should be like this. My job should be like this. Everything. So, in all big and small ways, if you observe your mind all the time, it is generating such thoughts. Should be like this, should be like this, should be like this all the time. Such a thing is getting repeated in our mind. So this is the nature of the attachment that people have. But with the arising of the Tathagata, with the arising of the supremely enlightened Buddha, the Buddha teaches us what? The teachings that are based on non-attachment. The Buddha is teaching us, do not be obsessed with the attachment. Do not be obsessed. Why? Because when you are obsessed with the things, with the attachments, ultimately you come to suffering. You come to dissatisfaction. So take an example. Whatever you like to do, whether you like to eat a particular type of food, particular dish, or whether you like to associate with certain types of people, or whether you like to say listen to certain types of music, or watch certain types of movies, or whatever it is, or indulge in certain types of activities, whatever it is. When you are obsessed with it, how long can you do it? You want to eat something, but if the same food is given to you every day, which you consider as delicious, as desirable, how long can you eat? How long can you take delight in it? Sooner or later, you will be bored. You will be irritated. You will come to dissatisfaction. This isn't good. I don't want this. I want something else. It is like this. Why? That's the nature of the attachment. It brings dissatisfaction. It brings suffering ultimately. Because of the inherent nature of change. Inherent nature of change in all the conditioned phenomena. So the Lord Buddha teaches just this. Don't be obsessed with your attachment. Don't get stuck so badly. Don't get stuck with your relationships. Don't get stuck with your job. Don't get stuck with your money. Don't get stuck with your possessions. Don't get stuck with this body. Don't get stuck with this mind. We wish this body to be healthy all the time, right? We want this body, let this body be healthy. Let there be no sickness. But then is it always the case that we never encounter any amount of sickness in our lives? It is not possible. Sickness is just as normal as the good health. Sickness is not unusual. Sickness is as usual as the good health. Why? Because the nature of the body is to undergo change every day, every moment. Living is as normal as dying. Why? Because that's the nature of this body. Sooner or later, it shall break down. It is supposed to break down. That's the nature of it. There is no way we can change this. So it is like this. But when we are obsessed with it, when we delight in this attachment too much, then we don't want this to change. We don't want this body to change. We don't want anything to change around us. But then it doesn't listen to us. It doesn't listen to such. We may wish, let it remain like this, let it not change. But our wish is just a wish. It is not going to be fulfilled. It's simple as that. Because the change is something that we cannot stop. Nobody can. That's the nature of all conditioned phenomena, all material phenomena, all mental phenomena. The change is the inherent nature. So that's why we must observe and cut down on this obsessive attachment towards things. If we don't, then we come to dissatisfaction, we come to suffering. So when the Lord Buddha teaches, don't be so obsessed with your attachment, don't get stuck to things so badly, look into them, whether they are really good enough or not, whether they are really worthy to be attached or not, look into them. Develop non-attachment instead, develop letting go. Then many people, they come and listen, pay attention, and practice accordingly. From the time when the Lord Buddha gave his first teaching in Sarnath near Benares, till date. More than 2,600 years have gone by. And from that time till now, hundreds and thousands of people, millions of people have come, have listened, have practiced, have attained the understanding. Why? Because it all started where? It all started when the Tathagata, the embodiment of truth, the supremely enlightened Buddha, started teaching, he started giving the teachings. Teachings that are based on cutting down of our obsessions, of our obsessive attachments. So this is the first thing. Normally, if you go around and see whatever it is around us, it is always connected with some kind of clinging, some kind of obsessive clinging. But then when the Buddha teaches, he tells us to look just here, to look just here into this obsessive clinging and to cut it down. Because this is where happiness can be found. So that's the first one. Then the second one. Normally people take pleasure and delight in I-ness. I-ness. I am like this. I am good. I am better. I am best. I am superior. I am inferior. People always tend to measure themselves. People always tend to measure themselves. Superior, inferior, or equal. That's the nature of the people. Every time we try to measure ourselves against others. I'm better than this person. I am inferior than this person. I'm equal to this person. But then the teachings the Supreme Buddha gives us is this. Do not get stuck with this I, because this I is not for real. What you consider as I, what do you consider as I? Something that is connected with this body, something that is connected with this mind. So if you think this body is the I, you think this body is the I, then this body keeps on changing, right? Like there's a small baby, newborn baby, and then the baby grows up. 1 year and 10 years and 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, maximum 100. It's rare to see people living 100 years these days, but even then. And then the body perishes. People say, so-and-so has died. It's just the perishing of the body, nature of the body. So what is this I? Is this 10-year-old as the I? 20-year-old as the I? 50-year-old as the I? Or this dead body is the I? Which one is the I? Because the body changes. The nature of the body is to change. So this body, we can't really fix, we can't really make it permanent and say, this is the I. The mind, as you can see, as you sit here for some time, so many thoughts and feelings comes and goes. So many of them. So many of them. They just come, they just go. None of them stays. None of them really stays with you. This particular thought, this particular feeling, you pinpoint one and say, this one, okay, this one, this is the one. This is the one which stays with me all day, every day, throughout my life. There is no such thought. There is no such mental thing. So you can't really pinpoint anything saying this is the I, neither with this body nor with the mind. This is what the Buddha is teaching us, to look into it. To look into it, how this body is, or how the mind is. Don't stretch your leg towards the shrine. If you have a problem, then you can stretch, go out and stretch and come back, no problem. But don't stretch it this side. It's considered disrespectful. So the Buddha is teaching. What is he teaching? Don't be also obsessed with the eye. You start with the eye. Morning you open your eye and you start with the eye. You night when you go to sleep, fall asleep, you end with the eye. But don't be so obsessed with it. Don't be so delighted in this, because there is probably no eye. It's just a changing phenomena. When you say, you go to a river, Krishna, Kaveri, Godavari, Ganga, Narmada, whatever. You go to any river, you call it a river. You call it a river. But when you get down into the water, flowing water, what is the river? The river that is just flowing, touching your legs, or just which has already flown away 5 minutes before, or which will flow after 5 minutes, the water. Which one exactly is the river? Go to any river. So which one is the river? So this is just like this. If you have a car, you have this hall, look into this, just look at this hall. We say, this is the hall, Dhamma hall to do the meditation, to teach the Dhamma. This is a conventional word. But what exactly is the hall? Cement is the hall, bricks are the hall, woods, glasses, anything, stones, anything that you say, this is the essence of the hall. There is no such thing. Hall is just a conventional word. There's nothing really a hall, nothing. Because it's composed of different things. The body is composed of different. Mind is also composed of various mental objects. They come, they stay together for some time, they disintegrate. Their nature is to disintegrate. So there's no real I. So this is what Lord Buddha is telling us to look into mindfully. He says, when the Tathagata arises, he teaches based on removal of this I-ness, the removal of this wrong feeling of I. And people pay attention to that. Then the third one, people delight in excitement. People want to be excited. When they go here, go there, do this, do that, they want to feel some excitement. They will say, oh, if there is no excitement, this life is dull. That's the normal assumption. This life is dull. But the Buddha teaches that don't be just excited. Look for something better. You can remain excited, but soon you get tired. Soon you get tired when you look for too much excitement. When you are too excited, soon you get tired. Look for something better. What should you look for? Look for peace within. That comes from discarding the excitement. That comes from discarding the excitement. Because excitement is like this. When you want to, we say people who are addicted to alcohol, they They want to drink alcohol. They drink and drink and drink, and then they end up suffering. Sometimes you might have seen some people fallen on the roadside, drunk, or sometimes people have a bad headache or hangover, or they end up fighting with their family members, or sometimes end up killing also, or a rash driving, or so many things. Excitement of drinking, but then it leads to affliction, dissatisfaction, and then they again do it again. Why? Because of that temporary excitement, what they call kick. It actually kicks the mind, kicks the mind out of ignorance, out of wisdom. It kicks out the wisdom and it kicks in the ignorance. That's all. That's all it is. But then that little moment of excitement. And with all things, people, you can go around and see people go to this place, people go to that place. They want to see this, they want to see that, they want to do this, they want to do that all the time. They want to feel excited. But then this excitement soon fades away. You might have heard or you might have done by yourself. When you go on a trip, when you go on a tour, and then you go around, see places for some days, and then they will come back home, and then you say, oh, it was so good, but it has ended. Huh? People do like this. Why? The excitement has ended. Then they come to dissatisfaction. Oh, now it doesn't exist. It doesn't stay with us. So the Buddha is saying, look for peace within. There's a way of doing it. You just can't suddenly, oh, let there be peace of mind. It's not like this. When you are able to observe and let go of all the things that makes the mind excited externally and internally, then peace will automatically appear on its own. You don't have to go around, look for it. You don't have to go and ask people, what is this? But then you must remove the causes and conditions which doesn't allow the peace to be established. And that's exactly the excitement and the delight in the excitement. So the third wonder, when the Tathagata, the embodiment of truth, the Supreme Buddha appears and teaches, some people, wise people, they come and listen and practice. And the fourth one is about ignorance. All these first three, the excitement, the I-ness, the attachment, all this comes primarily because of only one thing, not knowing. Not knowing the true nature of this world, not knowing the true nature of this body, not knowing the true nature of this mind, not knowing there isn't anything that is permanent here, there isn't anything that is stable here, there isn't anything that is dependable here, not knowing. So then whatever we find exciting, delightful, we grasp, and then it changes, and it goes, and we go to another thing, and then we grasp, and then it changes, and then we go to another thing, and we keep rolling, but doesn't find the release of mind, the perfect satisfaction of the mind that we are unable to find, because we do not know. We do not know. There isn't anything that we can call as refuge. There isn't anything here. Our parents are not our refuge. Our teachers ultimately are not our refuge. Our job, your house, your security, your bank balance, your car, your relationship, nothing is your refuge. What is a refuge? That you can rely on day in and day out, in good times and in bad times. That is the real refuge. Whether other people are with you or there's none with you, that is the real refuge. That is the refuge that we have to find. And that we cannot find because we have all kinds of wrong refuge. If I get this job, my life is settled. If I have this relationship, my life is settled. If I buy this house, my life is settled. If I do this, my life is settled. Then people don't say like this, but then sometimes somebody may end up saying, when you die, then your life is settled. Even then it is not settled. That's the biggest problem. Even when you die, it's not settled, because then you want to go on other place, reborn somewhere else, and then you do this same nonsense again. Let this be settled. Let this be settled, but it doesn't settle. And then you go on to another place. Nonsense. There is no refuge in the hearts of the beings without wisdom. Wisdom is the highest refuge. When you know things, there is nothing really permanent, stable, nothing really to be delighted on. We can let everything go, all good things and all bad things. Then the heart finds the peace. This is the wisdom. So when the Buddha appears in the world, it shows us the highest refuge of wisdom. It teaches us, don't get stuck with your ignorance. Don't delight with your ignorance. Don't think you are smart. You aren't. You are a fool. At least acknowledge that and start walking towards wisdom. And then there are people who are wiser, who take it up, practice accordingly. So these four things, when the Buddha teaches, he teaches based on these four things. And so, in a way, everything connected with, people say attachment is good. Buddha says, no, don't be so obsessed. Look into it. It's not so good. People say I-ness, so good. No, it's not so good. Excitement, so good. No, not so good. Ignorance, not knowing, just living, but not knowing what is the right way. It's so good. No, it's not so good. So this four things, four special things that the Supreme Buddha teaches. And then there are people who pay attention, who become mindful, who listen and practice, and then ultimately find the highest refuge, the refuge of wisdom, the refuge of liberation within their hearts. So with this, we will conclude today's discourse. And with the chanting of metta, and we'll meet again on next Sunday, same time at 6 o'clock. May you be able to remember and recollect and put them into practice. And now, of course, you have the YouTube to go back to and to listen again if you need to, and to listen again and again and remember and recollect. And we wish that whatever you have heard and whatever you will hear and recollect, may all this leads to your practice, deeper practice, and finally attainment of liberation. Sukhi bhaveyam me dukkha aham niccang aham piya yata cha me sukhi bhantu majjata dachaverino imani gamma kettam te sattahantu sukhe sadha tato parancha racchesu chakkavale sujantano sadhu. See you again on next Sunday.